Hello and welcome to These Charming Fans. I'm really excited today. We are in the presence of a legend, Jeff Whitley, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for joining us, Jeff.
So thank you very much for asking us to come on.
Yeah, no, it's going to be great fun. So we'll just go right from the off. Let's talk about the moment because you lived the dream ultimately as a City fan who got to play for Man City. It must have been. Let's talk about the moment you signed for City and what kind of that story and how it felt.
I was playing Sunday League football. I'd moved over from Wales after moving over from Africa, and then I was playing Sunday League football in Wrexham, where we met Robbie Savage. Robbie Savage was quite an inspiration to me and my brother because he was in the same year as my brother. So they were very good mates. He was mad on football, very, very popular guy. And if anybody thinks he was cheeky when he was playing football, he was always that cheeky. He was always quick-witted. You know what I mean? He always had that. Just obviously when he got into the football world, it got worse. But no, lovely guy. And again, he was somebody that when you watched him playing and stuff like that, he was fantastic to watch. And me, my brother and Savage all played for the same team, Brickfield Rangers, and it was good. So when we came over to Manchester, we got in touch with the FA and asked them about Sunday teams and stuff like that, and he ended up playing for Flixton Juniors. And then the manager, he asked a few scouts to come down. I got picked with a number of other guys. We went down. We had it was a two week trial we had, and there was me and another lad that got Stevie Smith that got picked to play. But then as we progressed, there was only myself that ended up signing sort of YTS forms, and it was a great time. You know what I mean? It really was. I was ball boying as well. I was ball boying. I always remember when I was ball boying, I used to think, God, at Main Road and watching everybody playing on that grass, it was like, wish one day you play in that grass. Being in the tunnel and watching players coming through and that, and you're just thinking, wow, I got you stickers. Got you.
Yes, the opening sticker on them.
So no, it was amazing, to actually be able to, me and my brother, to eventually go on and play for.
Of course, I'm trying to think on my way about different pairs of brothers who played for the club. So there was the Whitleys, there was the Brightwells, and then I was kind of drawing a blank. My dad knows loads. He was telling me
Phillips, Sean Wright Phillips,
Sean Phillips and Brad Wright Phillips. Yeah. So that must have been great. So who was your debut? Let's talk about your debut before we do move on. Who was your debut? Who was it against? How was it?
Against Barnsley, and I was meant to be marking Marcel, and I was meant to be marking him. Ended up scoring 2 goals.
Yeah.
Doing too good a job. The second goal that he scored, I remember chasing back and we're going towards our goal, and Andy Dibble's gone, easy, give it. I thought I got a few yards on him, and he's very, very quick. So I've just give it easy to Andy Dibble. He's come around me, got the ball, took it round Andy Dibble and stuffed it in the net, and I was like, wow, that was about 3 minutes or something like that towards the end. And
whenever you make a mistake, though, doesn't it make it a little bit easier knowing Andy Dibble was in there and he could probably take the blame?
Well, yeah. I tried passing the blame on, but ultimately you have to take some responsibility. And hard to take. 17 debut and stuff like that. I didn't go as well as I'd liked. So yeah, in the dressing room after the game, just in tears, thinking that's your career over.
Yeah,
well done.
This is my moment.
yeah. But you know what, Alan Ball, he was great. He, and the players, at the time, they all came up to me and stuff like that. But Alan Ball was just listen, it's part of the game.
Yeah.
Part of the game. You live and you learn, and things like that. And Alan Ball again, he took me and my brother to his house, and it was great. We met his family and everything like that. It was, a real sort of surreal moment in his garden. We're going, are we really here?
Yeah. Well, let's touch upon Alan Ball then. How you brought him up, because it's always interesting. I say when we had Chappie on a few weeks ago. As fans, you see people and individuals, and we all have opinions on him. And it's not until you speak to yourselves who know him on a personal level. So like Chappie was telling us all about Ben Thatcher, what he was really like. Whereas City fans are going, he's an animal, he shouldn't have played for us. Yeah. But Chappie was like, no, he's a character, but he was a nice guy. Yeah. So in terms of Alan Ball, most City fans now don't have the time of day for him. Because of how we were with the relegations, and but obviously he gave you your debut, so for you he must always have a special place.
Absolutely. I think any player where a manager gives you that opportunity, I don't think there's be a player out there that goes, I don't like him.
Yeah.
Oh,
until he sells
terrible. Yeah, until he sells you. Yeah,
no bed. Tell me.
But you need that. You need a manager to go, do you know what? I like him. I'm going to give him a chance. Going to give him an opportunity. And
it's to see the longer picture as well. So I suppose, like you said, as a 17-year-old to make them mistakes in your debut, you think, well, that's me done now. But Alan Ball obviously didn't think that. Say, well, he's got potential, this kid. Let's give him a bit more.
I had it was a 2-year, YTS and a year's pro, and then Alan Ball, he took over, and I think it was about 4 or 5 months or something like that, I was in that contract, and he ripped it up. He'd been to see a couple of the reserve games, and he ripped it up, and I had to go see him. And he put me on a pro contract.
Wow!
I couldn't stop smiling. I was trying to hold it down, and I was just come out the office, and I'm like that, just big grin on my face. You know what I mean? It was amazing. Then there was, I'd only played a handful of games and stuff like that, and unfortunately, he ended up, getting the sack. But no, for me, it was, it was fantastic to be able to be given that opportunity, and also he stuck by me and kept playing me, and that and again that for me says something,
And so as I say, you got sacked, and then what was to follow was quite a topsy-turvy to say the least, wasn't it? We had so many different managers in such a short space of time, and not as probably we're the equivalent to Leeds now, aren't we? Leeds who were just chopping and changing. So what was that like, especially because you were a younger player at the time, to have, there's no stability I suppose with the club, but did you ever think Alan Ball was my man and he's gone now, is that me done? Or
yeah, no, as a player you're always going to have sort of healthy got other players trying to fight for that one spot. So it's always good to have a bit of healthy competition within the squad. So a new manager comes in, and a lot of players, they sort of up their game, and because they want to be picked. They got something to prove. It's a fresh start. So players that haven't been playing out of favour from the from the other manager, they got a fresh start. So anybody's is those positions are up for grabs. So when a new manager comes in, you've got to step it up and say, hey, listen, I'm here, and I want to play.
So aside from Alan Ball, then we'll do some questions. That who was, so Alan Ball aside, the best manager you worked under with City?
The best manager, I would have to say, was Joe. Joe was, for me was. Oh my God, what can I say? He was patient, definitely, because I wasn't the easiest player to deal with. So he was very patient, and the sort of team ethos that he and the squad of players that he ended up bringing in was fantastic. I mean, it really was. And you ask any of the players who played in the team that went down, and then we came back up 2 seasons on the bounce. Now, that those squads were unbelievable. We trained hard and we played hard, and there was a lot of talk about the lads are drinking too much and this and that, and I can look back and think, do you know what, that was the sort of in the 90s, and even go way back, that was sort of part and parcel of football, and that was sort of something that used to bring the lads together,
like a team bonding thing.
Team bonding.
If you're friends off the pitch, you'll play better on the pitch.
Absolutely. And unfortunately, for me, players, managers, coaches, and everything like that, just thought I would grow out of that, and unfortunately, didn't it? For me, the partying and stuff like that got worse. But Joe was fantastic. He was great. Brought players in that some people weren't too sure about. A big signing was Andy Morrison. I've always said Andy Morrison was, the best captain I played with, and when he made sure that people were, putting the work in, and and you could see it. He wanted to win.
Yeah, that's good. So we've done the best. Is there anyone who you'd consider the worst manager you've played under? Or is
the worst? I suppose Steve Copley was only there for what,
5 minutes.
5 minutes,
yeah.
You know what I mean? It was,
just wasn't up for it, was he?
And who knows? Only you. Listen, if you can get him sat in this chair and ask him the question, what went on? I'm sure there'd be plenty of City fans.
Didn't he leave because he was ill? He was stressed out. But then, like a week later, he was managing someone else, wasn't he? It was
again. It's all. We're all guessing, aren't we?
Yeah.
We haven't got a clue. He's your next guest you need to have on and just quiz him about that. Because nobody knows. Only he knows what really went on.
That must have been a crazy time for the players though, to go out, new manager, and then he's gone.
Managers coming and going. It was there was
no time to settle, really, was there?
No, and it was a bit of a joke, really. At the time, the lads just wanted a manager to come in, get a grip of the club. And really put structure right through the club, and it struggled for some time.
It's quite a bit. So let's move on to the players then, because you've been, I suppose, privileged to play with some cracking players over the years, and so who's on the personal level, who's the best player you've played with?
There's been a few. Obviously, Georgie Kinkladze is
brilliant. Just quickly though, Georgie Kinkladze. You say that name, I've got goosebumps already.
Yeah.
It just
Georgie was something else. And, he really was. He was a player who I feel out of the teams that I played in that would probably get into this team today. Yeah. The rest of us we probably end up doing the kit or something like that.
Yeah.
Doing the team.
Well, Chappie says there's about 7 or 8 of them now in the dressing room doing the kit. So
we have to back the cube. So he would do stuff, in training, and then you see him in games, and he just made people look like they'd never played football before.
Yeah.
So Georgie sort of had this respect for him that. You want him to be fit to play, and at times in training you wanted to smash him. Because
the flair players always get that treatment, don't they?
Because he was flary, and but he didn't like a challenge. I don't think he even made a challenge. I think all the time he was here, I don't think. It was like the likes of me and Brownie doing all the tackling for him.
Yeah, imagine, still Michael Brownie. So Kinkladze, he was just a joy to watch, wasn't he? Really?
Yeah, he was phenomenal. Really
I remember, towards the end of his career, I know he went off to Ajax after Rose, and then came back to England and played for Derby. And then wasn't he at Portsmouth briefly? Or certainly had a trial with them, and he was knocking around on the free. And I remember at the time thinking, he loves the club. Yeah. We love him. Would it not be worth bringing him back on a free? And but I suppose that's just a City fan in me going. Would be great to see him in the shirt one more time.
I just think as time went on, Georgie's abilities just nobody can question his ability. I think as time went on in different managers who managed City at the time were about hard work and quality. Do you know what I mean? You know, it was, and Georgie, he might go missing for 89 minutes and 10 seconds of magic, he'll win you the game.
Yeah, well, that's what
I mean.
A lot of people say that. You can make comparisons to Yaya, can't you? Where a lot of people, when they go, he's lazy today, he's not doing anything, but you know, just out of nowhere, how did he just do that?
Yeah,
that was amazing.
Absolutely. And some managers today won't have that and won't allow one player turning up when he feels like, you know, they want 11 players who are all going to work as hard as each other, no matter what, no matter whether the passing's not there or the game's not there, and you know, and Georgie sometimes could go missing in games. We were playing in a different league and all that as well. Yeah, exactly. But even in some games where it wasn't too scrappy, you know, he could go missing. Yeah.
Well, it's time for a break already. It just flies by when you're talking. Well, after the break, we're going to talk a bit more about some of the players. Cause I know you got to work with George Weah as well, so we'll have a little chat about him. And then obviously we'll talk about the playoff final and how it compares to the Aguero moment as well when we beat QPR. So all that and a bit more after this break. Welcome back to These Charming Fans. Still with me is Jeff Whitley. Thanks for hanging around still. So we'll crack on. We'll pick up where we left off with the players that you managed to play with. Because I know we spoke when we did the podcast a few months back that you were. What was it like being at the club to hear we've signed? I mean, Paolo One-Chop signing for me was a big thing. But then when I saw the name with him, I was like, George Weah, because he's the biggest name in world football. He's been there, done it. So what was that like at the club when he signed?
We didn't believe it. You know, it was one of them. You know, you heard the rumours and stuff like that you know he'd signed George Weah, and then when he eventually pulled up, it was like, wow, yeah, you know, this is real. And again, George Weah was doing stuff in training that just blew your mind. You know, the lads had never seen it before. You know, I remember doing a crossing and finishing session, and ball would come in from the right, and he would side foot it, but from the back of his leg, and it would fly into the top stanch, and you'd go, and that was fluke that. But then it would come on the other side, and he'd do the same on the other side, and he was doing this like we would just, you know, like we would just pass it into the net, you know, and he was doing stuff like that, and it was just like the lads were just like,
yeah,
you know, just amazing the skills that he was doing and stuff like. And he would talk football all day, all night, and he'd be out after training, you know, with the younger players and stuff like that. And he was brilliant. You know what I mean? He was brilliant, and you know, I look back at times like that, and you know, I think, wow, you know what a shame. You know what I mean?
Because it was only a brief stay, wasn't it, George? And
yeah, and he was such a lovely, lovely person. really, really nice guy and stuff like that. And, I've come across some footballers, Jesus, won't give you the time of day.
Yeah. Yeah.
They just wouldn't. So self-centered, self-seeking, and that's just me.
Yeah. So that's George Royle. Any other favourite players that you played with? Horlock. Let's talk about Horlock. I'm glad you brought him up.
Kevin Horlock was... he was a character. I can't tell you this. I would love to tell you the story of him and James Quinn on a Northern Ireland trip, but
maybe if we could get Kevin Horlock on, will he tell us the story? Or
maybe not. Maybe not. But it was fantastic. I remember we were doing it. We was doing the team photo, and anyway, so all the lads are getting their hair done and everything like that, and sprucing themselves up. And Kev's come down, and Kevin Keegan's looked at him like that, and he's gone, "You're not going on like that." He's like, "Why?" He says, "Go and have a shave." He'd shaved half of his face. That's all, just half of his face, and the rest to his beard is all. Oh my God, he just tickled us, and he was just looking at Kevin Keegan like, what's wrong?
What's wrong with this?
What's wrong with this? This is how I roll. But he was a character, and he would do stuff that was just random off the cuff, and he was brilliant. Obviously, I played with him when I went to, on the Northern Ireland trips, and those trips were pretty scary.
Yeah? Yeah. Is it any stories you can tell?
The Northern Ireland trips, right, I remember, this was obviously when I was, when my drinking had got to, a serious stage, my drinking. I've been sober now for 7 years, but I remember going to Belfast, and I got in my room, and then I've unpacked my bag and everything like that, and I've took out my jeans, took out my dancing shoes, took out my shirt, and I'm thinking, I'm missing something here. I realised I've forgotten my boots and my pads. Not a good thing going on international duty.
Yeah, the main issue.
And you forget your boots and your pads and all my other stuff apart from my boots and my pads. I had to get in a taxi, go to JJB and get some boots and pads.
Wow.
I've got some regrets. I before we played England at Windsor Park, they beat them 1-0. Unfortunately, I went out on a bender on the Saturday. In Cardiff. Then I went out on a Sunday, and then we were meeting up on the Monday. Plane got delayed at the airport, and I just thought, oh, fantastic. Cracked on at the airport, got into the hotel, threw our bags in, me and a kid called Phil Morine, and then shut off out. But as we went out, we seen a few of the lads in one of the rooms. Went into the city centre. We had a phone call off Jerry Armstrong, the assistant manager at the time. He phones us up. He's like, "Listen," he says, "where are you, lads?" I said, "Well, we're lost." "What do you mean you're lost?" I said, "Just seen you sneak out the hotel." "All right. Well," he said, "you need to get yourselves back." He says, "There's a meeting at 8 o'clock." And I was like, "Well, there's going to be a problem there because we're not going to be there." He says, "No, you need to come back." At that, I went, just put the phone down. And then
I've never heard anyone actually do that in real life. That's awesome.
Yeah, and then I just switched the phone off, and then we got in about 4 o'clock in the morning. Reception phoned Laurie Sanchez, and then he came down, and we got big bags of Chinese. And he wanted to have a word with us, so we went round the back of the hotel, sat down, and unfortunately didn't get too much sense out of me. He was trying to, tell us, give us what for, and I'm giving him what for as I'm, slightly intoxicated. And then he just said, I need to sleep on it. I was like, right, you do that. I've got to eat my Chinese now. And he came in the next morning and he just said, I remember I had my I had my blanket like this, and he's come in, he said, right lads, sending his home. And I've sort of gone, well, why are you being so nice? And if you could picture his face of someone who wants to kill you, it was that face, you know. And he sent us home. And devastated watching that game in Cardiff was just devastating. And and just unfortunately, just the drink had really got a grip of us and just couldn't keep us together. Just really couldn't. The big games and stuff like that, and all the managers, they all got rid of me because of my off the pitch antics of.
Is that what led you to leave City in the end? Or?
Yeah. I had numerous conversations with Kevin Keegan. I got to a set. I broke my ankle at Norwich, and then I had a new contract offer just before Joe left, and broke my ankle, and then that's funny. When I broke my ankle, I thought, come back in a. Get picked up, come back in a limo, all the way from Norwich. Just far, innit, Yeah, right. Like in a tranny van, in the back of the tranny van, coming back. Talk about cuts, But when I broke my ankle, it was a tough time, and it was something that I'd never really had to deal with before. The way I dealt with it, and the way I dealt with a lot of my stuff was, you go out and drink and you forget about your stuff, forget about your problems, and again, it was, he'd have me in, he'd tell me about, you going out drinking, it's going to slow down your recovery and this and that, but I didn't understand. I just didn't understand what was going on for me at the time and how to stop. There was no solution sort of given to me. I remember coming in one day and Kevin Keegan just said, I was ready to train. And then I got called into his office and he said, listen, Jeff, he says, we've had enough. We're going to pay you up. And I was like, right, okay. When's that going to happen? This afternoon.
Wow, instant.
It was that quick. I'd been warned several times and this and that, but it was that quick, and it was like, at that point it was like, all right, okay.
Wow.
I ain't playing for this football club ever again. I remember I blamed him. I was like, I'll never forgive him. And I would have got rid of myself as well at that time. Was, but you know what? I eventually found a solution, but obviously I had to get to, that wasn't even my rock bottom. I had some serious incidences with my, with my drinking off the field, and it just got worse. Spiraled and got, lost my license, went bankrupt. There's just numerous.
Because people assume, you a footballer living the dream, it's nothing to worry about. But obviously
I thought I was living a dream. I remember being in my apartment in Cardiff, and there was me, table full of drugs. My kitchen was just like a spa shop. It was like red wine, white wine, vodka, gin. You name it. It was in there. And porn on the telly. I always remember
obviously,
that. Obviously.
What's the point of having porn and drugs if you haven't? But no women, just me. And I thought, hey, this is me living. You know what I mean? Curtain twitching and stuff like that. And the only time I ended up leaving the apartment was to go down, because there was a spa shop actually downstairs. So go down, refill my kitchen, and meet my dealer down, at the bottom of the road, and then back up to my apartment, and spent weeks and weeks and weeks like that,
So no, I wasn't exactly living the dream.
Yeah,
you know?
no, it's the...
Me, myself, and I were partying, and it wasn't it wasn't fun. You know what I mean?
It'll hit you eventually as well, won't it?
Yeah.
So what was the moment it turned around for you then? Was it once you hit bottom there and then you thought, right, I need to stop? Was it while you were still playing? Did you kind of pick yourself up towards? Well, did you move on to?
No, what happened? I went to Sunderland. Mick McCarthy, a friend of mine, pretty much begged Mick McCarthy to give me a chance. So Mick McCarthy had seen me in Japan. Me and my friend both went to Japan to watch the World Cup, and he'd basically seen me annihilated for a whole month out there. So he wasn't deluded in any shape or form that I like to party. And so anyway, he said, come up and with no pay, see if you're committed, and I'll think about giving you a chance. So I went up there, kept my head together, got my deal after being there for 3 months with no pay. He just stuck me in a hotel. And then the first game of the season, I missed the bus.
Right.
It's just doesn't matter how often I say it wasn't my fault. Yeah. There was a power cut and the phones didn't go off. That's just how it was. But he ended up getting rid of us, and then I went to Cardiff. Same thing happened there with Dave Jones. But Dave Jones, in the end, he said to me, Jeff, listen, don't bother coming in. Don't ring the lads. Don't come to the games, and we'll try and get you. We'll try and get you a move. And that's when the drugs really, really spiraled out of control, because I was always paranoid of getting drug tested and stuff like that. And then I hit the drugs, really, really hard.
Yeah. So we'll have a little break now. After the break, we'll get the happy ending to this story, and then we'll talk about the playoff final, and then that should see us to the end of the show. So see you in a couple of minutes.
Attention, small business owner. When is a box more than just a box? No! Oh no, that's just weird. A box is more than just a box when it can give you a couple of extra hours in bed, or at the very least some time to do something more fun and or productive than bookkeeping. Just bang all your paperwork in a box and we'll take care of the rest. Accounts Direct. Accountants on your side.
Welcome back to These Charming Fans. Jeff is still here. This is the final hurdle now. So obviously we've got to the thick of it, really, your career. The highs of signing for City, and then the lows of drugs and alcohol and being. I mean, I can't begin to imagine what it must feel like then to be told to leave Man City, but then obviously you went on to Sunderland and Cardiff, you said, and it's not working out for you. So. We'll try and end this on a happy note, because obviously you're not still. You said before you were sober 7 years now. Well done for that, because that couldn't have been an easy thing to do. So, where was the turnaround? When did you kind of went, do you know what? I've got to sort this out now. And
I was pretty much dying. Do you know what I mean? I was, I won't go into the details of exactly what was going on with the body, but it wasn't pretty. And plus, I was running out of money.
That's another thing. Footballers, money, then it's not a problem.
I was running out of money, and I always say I don't think if I had more money, I don't think I would have stopped. Because it was, I was able to, live that life, but in the end, I wasn't even having fun anymore. It was a must. That's how it was. The drink was a must. I have to have the drink. But eventually I ended up going into Sporting Chance. Went into Sporting Chance. The PFA, did a great job in getting me in there very quickly. Met Tony Adams in there and heard his story, and thank Tony Adams and Paul Mercer, because obviously Paul helped Tony get sober. So I had 28 days in Sporting Chance, and it was an eye opener. It was just like, wow, do you know what? I'm not the only person on this planet who thinks this way, who's constantly thinking.
Because you must feel so isolated when, let's say, when you're in an apartment on your own.
It's the manipulation. When am I going to get my next drink, and how can I get out of this to go and get a drink and stuff like that? I was talking to other people who thought like me, and it was just like, oh, this is amazing. And it sounded so much like somebody had given my script, because the stories they were slightly different, but so similar. Yeah, similar. And it's a long life commitment. Do you know what I mean? To staying sober, you don't just go in for 28 days and you come out and you're like, oh, this is fantastic. Life's going great. I've had to put a lot of hard work. I still go to AA meetings and things like that. I go to Cocaine Anonymous and stuff like that, and CODA and Codependence Anonymous, things like that. I've got to. It's a long life commitment. Yeah. I was at a meeting last night. It's just what we do in order to stay clean and stay strong and stay sober. Yeah, and pass the message. People pass the message to me to get clean and sober, and said, listen, here's the solution. You do this, and your life will get better. Yeah. You stop doing these things, and your life will pretty much go back to how it was. Yeah. My kids have not seen me ever drink, which is a great thing. Hello, Jazzy. Hello, Zaki. How you hear me? Love yous. My wife. She's been unbelievable. She's stuck with me. Through
supported you for it all. Yeah.
She's absolutely been.
Which couldn't have been easier.
No, not at all. Yeah. Absolutely, an amazing woman, and we got married, and you know what? I remembered the wedding.
Wow, there we go. Yeah. don't remember playing for Northern Ireland, but I remember
yeah. Games. I've got blurred games and stuff. Yeah.
So one game that you wouldn't be blurred about, I imagine, is the playoff final. Yeah. Which I'm really proud of that link, by the way. That was really good. If I may say so myself. Because we talk about it a lot. The playoff final as a City fan is something that we talk about. So when I have the guests on, I have comedians on. We have, like, say, Chappie and stuff. Yeah. But it's the first time I've had not only a former player, but someone who played in that game. Mm. So I mean, it was just crazy for us as a fan. What was it like as a player being on that pitch?
I got to tell you, it was very, very nerve-wracking knowing that you were going to play at Wembley, because obviously being you have childhood dreams of playing for your club, and then playing at, different stadiums and this and that, and playing it against certain players. So to be able to go and play it at Wembley, knowing that it's going to be one of the last games before they, knock it down, it was unbelievable. It was fantastic to be there and to soak it up and to know the amount of history that is at Wembley, and then to obviously go on and be a part of that history was just unbelievable. The atmosphere was just unreal.
It was electric. I remember being there. It was just, you never experienced anything like that.
No, words can't describe when you come out of that tunnel and you see it packed.
What's crazy about it is because it was the second division playoff final. I don't think they've ever seen an attendance like that for a second division game. Do you know what I mean? We were selling 35,000 at Main Road in the second division. Do you know what I mean? It was,
and that just shows the level of support that it makes me laugh when you hear other football clubs going, "Where were you when you were rubbish?" and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, because it was
here, and that's that's how it was. It was like, wow, got 35,000 fans in the second division, and probably some of those players who played against Man City at that time will probably never get those crowds ever again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So it was an amazing time. Like I mentioned to you earlier on, I still got my shirt. That won't be going anywhere. No. I keep saying to the kids, I'll have to put it on for them, but unfortunately I've got rid of my tape recorder. I've got it on tape. So I'm going to have to transfer it onto a DVD for them to watch it.
That's it, yeah. It's just so. I mean, so what was it like? The game was obviously very close. It was very tense, and then it felt like we just blew up, didn't we? Because it was like the 83rd minute, and then the 87th minute, we're suddenly with 2-0 down, going into stoppage time. On the pitch, what's that like? Knowing that not only it must have been kind of like a relegation game. If you didn't win that playoff, Gillingham must have felt like they've been relegated after that game because you're in that division.
Yeah,
you're on the verge of promotion, and then on top of that pressure, I think it was like 75,000 people in Wembley. What's going through your head as a player there?
Well, we know, all through that season, there wasn't the most prettiest football played in a lot of the games, and again, like I said earlier on, the squad of players that we had, we knew, do you know what, we're going to fight hard, and we'll fight hard to till the end, and to say, I never glanced at the clock. Of course I did. Do you know what I mean? Because you're like, oh my God, and the silly flashes coming, thinking, oh my God, another grueling season like we've just had, and then for Kev, who always says, which I mentioned before, did score in that game.
He did. The
Kevin Orlock did score in that game.
The Edin Dzeko of your team.
Yeah, absolutely. To step up and and slam the ball in the net, and then Paul Dickoff just comes up with one of the most
iconic,
absolute corker of a goal. And then to obviously keep it together in the
that was the longest period of extra time ever. Remember, it was only half an hour, wasn't it? But it must have felt like a lifetime.
It was tiring. Yeah. I remember being in the extra time. I was flagging. I was tired. I was starving.
Yeah.
I was starving. I always remember that.
Was it the munchies?
Honestly, I was so hungry. I think there's a clip of when we get into the dressing room afterwards, and Dickie, as I walk in, Dickie's there, and I'm like, oh, well done, Dickie, and there were sandwiches. Before I pass out. Yeah. And it was just. It just topped up that that feeling of being in a family unit.
Yeah.
Like you say, you get any of those players on, and they'll tell you the same. We trained really hard together. We enjoyed each other's. Every day was just constant laughing, joking.
You get that feel as well, because it's when you watch that team, it almost is like watching a bunch of friends having a kick about. Whereas in 2015, you're like, are they that close? I mean, Chappie was saying these days it's so segregated, and it's kind of they show up, play football, and then they go home.
Yeah. I can't see the likes of Aguero enjoying somebody stuffing chicken and beans down his trousers and tying the bottom and stuff like that. I just don't think you'd see the funny side of it. Do you know what I mean? Or someone like Juve coming into training in a red blazer and then the lads chopping it up and stuff. I just can't see that happening. You know what I mean?
It's good old days. Well, we'll start wrapping up now. It's been a fantastic show. But the natural thing at the minute is to compare the playoff final to the QPR game where we won the league, because everyone was saying there's no way anything could ever match that playoff final. Yet, it must have been 10 years later.
Yeah.
We're in an identical position. Enough, we need 2 goals.
Yeah.
It's one of them where you go. I can still remember. I said this on the opening show. Everyone's got a where were you moment, and I was 13 in the playoff final, and I remember 2-0 down, literally crying like this. And everyone's like, no, it's fine. We'll do this.
Sorry for that.
We won't. Yeah, I nearly didn't go in school the next day. A lot of United fans at school. And so fast forward, when we won the league, my brother Niall was 13, and he was crying. My dad's having deja vu, and then I found myself going, no, we'll do this. So it's 2 goals, and I think no club can match that twice. Certainly, we did it twice, and. So what I like to do before we finish is I like to show the moment Aguero scored that goal, and we can talk it through. And because you'd let me know where you was, how was you celebrating, and what was going through your head. Because I don't know whether you may have had like a Vietnam flashback of, oh my God, is this again?
I went to the toilet and there was a guy in there and he was smoking away and he's stomping up and down, and you're right there. Oh, this guy, I can't watch it. I remember saying to him, just have faith. Have faith.
I've got
faith. and then he eventually came out.
So we'll have a quick look now, and this is the moment it happened. It was so magical.
I was behind the goal.
Was you actually
behind the goal at the top, going crazy like that, jumping on randoms like they're doing, running up and I was running up and down because there was loads of I was running up and down and just diving on anybody that came in my path.
It's so surreal, wasn't it? I still to this day. I mean, I've still got the goosebumps there now, just watching that goal.
It's just fantastic. It is, and for me to be a player, then to obviously be a fan in the stand and everything like that. I was emotional. I was in tears as well afterwards. It was something that, hey, do you know what? Every footballer wants to win, especially the Premier League, do you know what I mean? And, it was something that, we could only have tried but failed, do you know what I mean? But we felt the emotions that those guys were feeling. Yeah. It was a fantastic feeling, for all the fans to be able to be there and to witness that. And the way we did it was just...
It must have been like a full circle for you to go. Because let's say, if we're being honest, the player final kick-started this whole era for me. Because like I say, if we wouldn't have gone up in that player final, where would we be now? Would we even still be in business? Because we had such a massive stadium.
Absolutely.
And, it was... So, I mean, on behalf of City fans, I thank you and the boys for the playoff final. And,
thank you
and thanks for being on the show. We have run out of time now. So, Jeff, thank you so much. Hopefully you'll come back on again.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. I've enjoyed it.
Thanks for watching. Do like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. You've been watching These Charming Fans. Good night.
Good night.